So welcome everybody to another Klaus Fireside Chat. My name is Martin. I'm the co-founder and CEO at Klaus. And today's episode is a little bit special because we have somebody on the show that I used to be technically. Or in other words, we have Mara, who is the VP of customer support at Pipedrive, correct?
Exactly. I was thinking you used to be a very short girl. Portuguese, for that matter.
Yes. I can only speak a little Portuguese, but that's about the extent. Like, you're doing a much better job at that.
But yeah, truth. So I came in to replace you actually in Pipedrive, and so you were responsible for having hired me there. So yeah, so it's a very, very special fireside chat for sure.
The idea today is, well, first of all, it's mostly just an excuse for me and Mara to talk, but like we figured we might as well share it. So to start from somewhere, maybe you can introduce yourself a little bit, tell us about your pre-Pipedrive background, and we'll obviously get into that. And everybody should be prepared because the word Pipedrive will be mentioned about 15,000 times.
All right. So I was studying linguistics. That has nothing to do with what I do these days. And while I was doing this, I decided to have like a part-time job. And I found myself answering like 80 to 100 calls a day in a call center, in a telecommunication in a company in Portugal. This was my starting point in customer service. And like weeks passed and I was kind of like, all right, I can do this. I kind of like doing this, speaking to people every day. It's like the challenge of fixing problems and stuff that's not working. And I did that for a couple of months and I started progressing, moved to manager. Then I started coordinating teams. And then I was faced with the decision to, keep investing in linguistics and in that career, or just focus on customer service and keep doing what I really enjoy doing. And I decided, all right, it's going to be customer service for me. So I didn't really stop. And I moved from one telco company to another, coordinating teams also for an international company. Then, met a lot of different people and a lot of different opportunities also within the customer service organization. Then probably, say, 15 years into the career, I started thinking that it would be nice for me to just make a career change and start looking into the startup world, building stuff from scratch, like not just fine-tuning the machine, but really kicking things off. And that's where I moved into the startup world. I changed from telco to short-term rental business. What a change.
What was it called again?
Housetrip.
Housetrip, yeah.
And yeah, so the short-term rental business, quite a change because you're not really, managing billing issues. You're managing a vacation for most people, like the most important time of the year for them. So it's all about the experience. And so it's a completely different game for customer service. And it gave me a lot of new insights that I took with me along the way.
What kind of channels did you work with at Housetrip? Did you have phones as well? Like, I'm just what I'm getting at is like, did you get those phone calls like, "Hey, I'm standing here in the rain. Like, you need to do something."
Oh, you wouldn't imagine. Yes. So, okay, remember, every company has their challenge. That's why our quality goals are not 100%, because we know that like there's bad luck in the equation and there are glitches that happen. So yes, I had a couple of, well, I'm looking for the house and there's no house there. What's going on, right?
Minor issue when it comes to a vacation or a house rental.
truth be said, I worked with an amazing team, and we kind of operated miracles. I started managing a team just to tackle complaints. So like it was my day every day working with those big challenges in the customer experience. And I mean, we had people looking for wood in the Netherlands during winter, like at midnight. I will deliver that to your house if you feel cold. But that's how they operated, and they made things happen. So like, yeah, we were doing the well.
So you have an interesting mix, because like that's something that I, other than a short stint into an Estonian telco and marketing, other than that, like I don't really have the experience of working for like traditional companies. So you have like your first half, you could say, or maybe even more of your career was in there, and now it's been, you know, your third kind of startup-ish tech job. So what would you say are like the big differences in how people operate in the support organization?
So I think, well, the big difference is bigger corporations look for structure, right? They're not really kicking things off in this. Well, they're always kicking something off, right? And changing and like revamping, but it's more about getting the efficiencies, getting the structure, replicating what's already working well, because you have to scale, right? It's all about growing in a very effective and efficient way. For the startup world, it's all about heart and lungs, right? It's about making things happen fast. Be not afraid of making mistakes, because you will learn from them, and just keep the rhythm going. So you have a good balance, because if you have that experience of like getting the structure in, you already know that if you make a mistake really early in the day, it will hurt going forward. If you want to scale, then you have to fix all of the mistakes you did when you were starting, right? So you get those learnings in, but you also know that like the heart and the lungs need to be there all the time. So you need to keep people motivated and excited about their work, like they're working in a startup. So the balance, the mix needs to be there.
And how is like the current status of Pipedrive in that sense? Because I guess it's been a bit of a transition, because Pipedrive now is what, 1,000 people, even more.
Yep. Yes.
Yeah. So like the context here is that when I joined, the entire company was 40 people. When I left, it was 300 maybe. And the support organization, I ended up hiring more than 100 people, but the support team was about 60 or 70 when I left. So where are you now in terms of numbers, and how has that changed over time?
Support now is a team of 128 people and growing. And yeah, I think we're in that moment where we are transitioning more into the corporation style. So we definitely need to keep building more structured bridges between departments, between teams, between functions even, right? We've moved from this stage where we were all pioneers of something, because nobody had thought about that.
What was your like first big challenge when you first started?
So the first real challenge was take the team to 24/7. This was a huge challenge for us, right? I think one of the good perks that the team had was no rotating schedules, pretty much stable Monday to Friday work. And we needed to adjust and adapt to what was required. Like we have customers 24/7, so we definitely need to move from this stage to a 24/7 customer service. Quite a challenge not to hurt that stability and like the motivation, and I didn't really want to kill that within the team. So the challenge was to keep hiring for those new rotating schedules and keep the team stable as we were going. Took a while, but finally we got to 24/7, pretty stable. Didn't really lose anyone during this transition. And that was also like very, very key for me, that I didn't really lose anyone in the process.
But do you have any advice when it comes to doing like these kinds of painful changes?
Yes, so many learnings during that process. I definitely have advice to give. Involve people. Involvement is key. Communicate. Do not miss a chance to create involvement, not just by inviting people to be a part of the project and be a part of change, but also tell everyone what you're doing, what the plan is, what the intention is, what the outcome will be. Because for me in the beginning, it was like, I know what to do. I have a plan. This will work, right? But you need buy-in. If not, like people tend to get defensive, especially if they don't really know you, haven't worked with you before, So involvement is key. Getting people to trust the decisions, understand the whys mostly, before you kick anything off, right? Buy-in is critical for the team. And I learned like the first changes that I implemented were so hard to implement just because of that. I was rushing to do things, but not really pushing for involvement, right? Then I learned from that. And the other changes that we implemented were like a breeze. Just because we got this right.
Have you had to change any major tools during this time as well, or I think you're still on an intercom, right?
Yes, we're using intercom still.
Because other than like opening offices and like adding stuff, then like my experience, like when it came to change management, was a lot around like changing those platforms, and it was not fun because we changed before you joined, we changed like our platforms and channel mix quite a bit. So we went from having all the channels and mostly email to having almost no phone and mostly chat. So it was a lot of change. So as you were telling your story, like I remembered some of those moments as well. And like when it comes to like technical change, my experience was that it's never going to be perfect. Like it will always be painful. The best thing you can do, like when it comes to preparing for those challenges, is to have resources ready to react quickly. Like when it comes to like a platform change, like you will always have issues that you cannot foresee.
Yep. And as you grow, like change will be way heavier because you have so many things already, so many automations and bridges built between, even internally between departments that create dependencies on those tools. That yes, if you consider changing, then prepare to add resources to the mix, because you will need them for sure.
Have you had any recent changes made that you're proud of, that you're thinking like, wow, like I'm glad I made that before it was too late?
I think the change that I'm most proud of having the team make was made last year during the pandemic. So when March hit, we saw that a lot of customers were approaching us to cancel or to downgrade. And before customer support, we were pretty transactional, meaning that, you just tell me what you want and I'll help you do it. I won't question the reason why you're doing the intention. And the team, because they're very customer centric, they got worried and they flagged this. All right, there's a lot of people approaching us asking how they can cancel and how they can downgrade. We need to do something. And within 2 weeks, we had shifted the entire team from transactional to relational. This is what we did. And we had support organization, had soft skills training, to try to negotiate, understand what the level of difficulty was, try to see if we could persuade people to stay with Pipedrive, understand what could be the turning point for them. And we managed to retain a lot of customers last year just because of this seemingly small change, but really big for the teams. Like we needed to change the mindset of customer support reps at that time. So
because at Pipedrive and like any other SaaS companies, it's also the fact that the support team is kind of sales in disguise, sales and success, because it's not like you only get support questions, and they are always thinking about like, assessing if the support that I get is not good enough, I might leave. And you also get inquiries from trial customers, which obviously makes a big impact on the business.
Yes.
How do you like view that entire dynamic? Because especially at SaaS, it's not just support. Support is also sales and branding and success and everything else.
Yep, it's an added challenge for sure. But I think that the key thing is to hire well. So if you hire people that love what they do and understand what the mission is for the company and for support, you're safe, you're good. You don't really need to worry that they will worry for you or that they will want to engage and sell that, because they will. It comes from the heart. It comes from the type of people you actually hire to secure that function for you. Obviously, as we all grow and as sales and success team also grow in their dynamics and like the approach they do for customers, we also need to coordinate more like the efforts that everyone's putting in. And if we talk to someone that success is accountable for, like they have a success manager accountable for that specific customer, we have to again build bridges to them and like give visibility to the conversations we've been having, because they will also gain from this insight and this understanding. So it's a challenge, but I think if you hire the right people to do the job, it's just about tweaking here and there, not about enforcing a mindset on someone,
Yeah. If you like overinvest in that side, you can save like insane amounts of resources later on, because things change, your phase change, like your product can change, like the environment, everything can change. But if you get the people right, then like that's gonna take care of a lot of the potential things, like as opposed to trying to regulate everything and like create instructions for every single situation and all that. Do you have any tips for somebody that needs to make those handovers work? Because obviously I think that's the easiest way to kind of break things. Like if you contact support, then it's, they're missing information from the sales or success side or product or whatever, or they just contact support, and then the customer effort is crazy because they need to start telling their story all over again. Like, do you have any good ways of mitigating that? Because obviously you will have specialized roles in a big organization.
Mm-hmm. Well, the key thing is don't work in silos too much, right? We can lose ourselves building our own departments, and suddenly we're so closed within our silo that we forgot about the handovers, the passing over feedback, sharing insights with other departments, and we lose track. And suddenly it becomes painful to build those bridges after everything is set. So key thing is, don't work in silos. Keep cross-department, cross-functional projects going to keep these bridges alive. One thing that we've been doing this year within our organization is customer journey mapping projects, and these are cross-department and cross-functional. So what does the experience look like for someone that wants to join Pipedrive, right?
Yeah.
And we all look into the experience and understand, oh, right, so we should be talking here because it's damaging for the customer. We should be telling them this here and this there because it's not consistent. We're telling them different things depending on the channel they interact with. And this is eye-opening for us. This is actually making us understand that we cannot operate in silos. So when in doubt, involvement, communication, and cross-department for sure.
How do you do it in practice? Like, is it usually like meetings? You have shared Slack channels. Like, how do you report to the same executives somehow, or
all of that? So we have a sponsor. The sponsor is the CEO. He is actually, making sure that this project comes to life and everything is on track. But we also have a PMO, so someone that is in charge of coordinating every step of the way, the milestones, the RASI, everything within the project. And then we have stakeholders from a lot of departments, some not even customer facing, because we need, as I used to say, we need the 6-year-old in the room that does the customer questions. Like they don't care about internal processes. They don't know it. It's like, why do I need to click a button 2 times? I don't understand, right? And we go, oh, you're right. So it's 2 times because it's for 2 teams, but all right, makes no sense for the customer, and we have weekly or bi-weekly cadence. So we meet to talk about what we've done, but we also divide and conquer, and we have different tasks for everyone to do, chats to read, calls to listen to, processes to investigate, the experience as a customer to take, so that we can take all these insights and improve the experience for customers going forward.
Makes sense. Yeah, no, and I think that's it's something that is very easy to overlook if you have like massive challenge in your own department, and then the customer experience can easily break down, because I don't think the customer actually cares about your org chart. Like they really don't. Like who are they talking to? Like they're talking to the company.
Yes, most of the times we get, your support sucks, when they're really frustrated, right? And suddenly we go and see like, we didn't even interact. It was, someone else from another department. It's okay. It's Pipedrive. It's support anyway in their heads. So we need to change this, obviously. So it's all about listening to the customer, understanding their wants, their needs, their expectations, their frustrations, and then work as one team, basically, to improve that.
How have things changed over time? Not only thinking about Pipedrive, but like what are you seeing in terms of the expectation of, let's say, international customers and how they want to receive support? So obviously there's a lot of buzz around automation, but I would guess that like we both agree that like no customer actually just wants to talk to a chatbot. And there's changes around the channels, like where you can contact, how fast you can get responses. Like what have you noticed over your time in support?
Demand levels are starting to be very, very high, because everyone is entering the digital world, and customers, like what before was a wow, to be fast, to be there, to get personalized, that's already pretty normal, right? Yeah. That's what everyone is doing nowadays. Nowadays, it's all about personalization and being more and more into the digital world with the customer, right? They don't just want to talk to you. They probably want to see you. So video is a thing too. Screen sharing is like a given. So you definitely need to be proactive. They don't just expect you to react when something is wrong. They expect you to already know about it, have informed them. It's like, and have a fix ready. So yeah, it's like the standards have changed.
What was the biggest kind of change you had to introduce because of the pandemic?
The biggest change was online onboarding, remote onboarding.
So like employee onboarding.
Yeah. Exactly. So we are a fully remote organization because we have to, right? It's required. And so our new joiners are taking all our product onboarding, customer service, billing, everything remotely. So that's a massive challenge for us, because the magic that we had was like cool office, cool people, right? And suddenly, how can we show you that we're cool in that sense? And that's going to be lovely to work with us if you didn't really see us or felt the vibe of the office, right?
How many people have you had to hire into your team that you haven't met yet?
Oh, dozens. I don't know. I've lost count, like a lot of people. So remember before when you said you hired more than 100, but you only had like close to 70 people, because support is also an entry door for so many other positions within the company, right? And it's good to have people that started out by talking to customers and then moved on to do something different. So I keep hiring to backfill positions that I lose internally for other departments, right? So probably more than 100.
So that's actually, I think that's definitely like one of the constants like in support in Pipedrive, that even before my time when Martin Henk was hiring for customer support, and like hopefully in my time as well, like we kept up the standards, and like that means that other departments will look at your team as like, okay, like we have somebody that is a good communicator, knows the product, is disciplined, hardworking. Like, of course, I want to hire from that department.
Yes, so we keep losing, but it's a good loss, as I used to say. But it's always frustrating for us. It's like, no, I mean, so good. But yeah, like good people need to progress also to other functions.
I'm guessing many of the viewers of this chat here are experiencing that. And like my advice, at least, is to be really proud of the fact that you've hired people that are so good that like everybody wants to like get them into their departments. And then you can see like, look, somebody is now, like getting close to the executive level, or like a product manager or something like that. So, it's makes a big impact.
Yeah. And also I like to say that I have arms everywhere within the company, because like, there's someone from support everywhere, right? That used to work in support everywhere within the company. So that's always healthy. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, this being Klaus Fireside Chat, we also should talk about quality a little bit. So I guess the question for you would be like, what is the general philosophy around it for you guys right now? You always need to balance the things out between getting work done and all that. What is your thinking around it?
Mm-hmm. So we didn't really change what was built while you were there, Kõiva. So the missions remained the same, right? Deliver fast, useful answers with a human touch. We don't force people to have a specific tone of voice, to say or not say specific things, to be a stereotype. I want honest, good intentioned people that will deliver on the mission. And they can have personalized conversations, use their tone, because we know that we hired, an educated, nice guy or girl to do the job. That didn't change. What we need to understand is going forward, because there's so many of us already, right? That managers have now bigger teams. They need to be involved in how the team is performing and what they need to change in a more structured way. And this is where internal quality really plays a key role. We use internal quality and a structured framework for assessing internal quality with two intentions, really. So to monitor, to audit what's going on and where we are already delivering a good service and where we're falling behind. We listen to calls, we read chats. That's what we do all day, every day, right? We keep monitoring, tracking what people are doing. Why? Because we want to understand what customers are telling us. Truth be said, contexts change, people change, businesses change. We cannot assume or presume that we know our customer just because we've been in business with them for 10 years. It's changing. It's an ever-changing context. So we definitely need to keep listening to what they're wanting and what they're expecting from us to calibrate, right? And then we also need to understand how people are delivering that mission to replicate what's really good, what's really key, and what's really working through the entire organization. This is key learning, and spotting those experts that still need fine tuning and still need a bit of training to get better, and like tackle that individually. So internal quality is a must. This year, we're actually growing the team and getting dedicated resources just for internal quality assessments, because we take that so seriously.
I think one thing that you said is really interesting, that it's not just about like giving the feedback, but it's also an observation process, which is something that many teams overlook, because if you're like purely hoping to get like improvements in CSAT or like one or the other metric, then you may not actually get there. But one of the more important outcomes of this process is not actually related to the feedback that you give to the agents. It's about the key people in the organization understanding what is going on. And that's obviously the basis of like doing whatever bigger changes, which go way beyond like just telling one agent like, hey, like don't use this macro here.
Yeah, exactly. So that will help us understand what's going on with the customer, and also share insights of what's going on with other departments. Product is delivering new features every day. They need to understand the impact of what they are building for customers, right? And usually it's within the internal quality assessments that we spot some trends, some things that probably are not working that well for customers, or maybe they're working, but it's not really doing the wow. And then it's about passing over that insight back to the product team so that they can change things. And when I say product, marketing, other customer facing teams, everyone that can gain with those insights. For me, the biggest challenge was, all right, this is the mission. So how do I measure how good I am in the fast, the useful, the human touch, right? How do I track that? Internal quality, again, is a good indicator of how healthy you are on delivering all of this, because you can understand how customers are responding to it. CSAT also is a metric. Customer effort score is one that you can use too. And obviously measuring responsiveness and how fast you are, and correlating that with CSAT gets you up to speed where, all right, how good am I on delivering this mission? With customer experience models and like customer journey mapping, what we're doing is adding a bit more to that layer. Mm-hmm. So it's fast, useful, human touch, but we also want to understand if we're being predictive, if we are being consistent in the message that we're delivering. So it's about doing that, but in a consistent, structured, routine way,
Yeah. The interesting thing about like those different metrics is that you see a lot of companies focusing just only on one of those things. For example, CSAT. Any company that you talk to will say that CSAT is the most important thing, and that's all we talk about. That's the sort of the gold standard. But it's actually, it's kind of like asking the patient for feedback on like how the doctor did. It's like, yeah, like he smiled, it was nice, but like maybe you removed the wrong organ. You wouldn't know.
Yep, and it's also about the why. So you're happy, good, but why? Because we want to replicate that. And in order to guarantee that we can replicate that to other customers, we need to understand what levers we changed there and we moved to make you happy in the end, right? It's not just the expert that's talking to you. Obviously, that plays a very key part, but it's what exactly, like how fast were you, the quality of the information that you gave, the support that you had from other departments that made the difference there, the product that you're selling, obviously. So we definitely need to understand why, not just look at CSAT and say, we're good.
So let's talk about the future for a little bit. What do you think is going to happen in the next like year or a few years in if we talk about customer support in SaaS specifically, because that's what I'm in, that's what you're in, that's our kind of specific domain of expertise. Like, what do you see as the sort of major things that will be different?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think remote work for sure is going to be key going forward. We all learned that we can do it. And it works nicely. And so I think companies more and more will need to adjust to this framework and live with probably a mixed model that some people would like to go to the office, some people would like to work from home all the time, and just make it happen for people. As for like software development and how things will look like going forward, I mean, I keep being surprised every day. There's no limit to what we can do in terms of customer service going forward, to tell you the truth, because in the digital world, we already do so many incredible things that I wouldn't see us doing probably 5 years ago, for that matter. So yeah, I think the sky is the limit, really. We will definitely have to be more and more proactive. I think companies now are focusing more around proactive support, omni-channel, and they're going to be the basic stuff going forward. 24/7, all omni-channel communities. That's going to be standard for every company. So doing the wow will definitely be way harder to achieve going forward.
Yeah, I think the general trend towards like higher standards is definitely like one thing that I would bet almost any amount of money on, because it's like everybody's exposed to now the like whatever like amazing customer support from top global brands. So like before, it used to be that like, okay, like if you use these products, if you buy from Amazon, then yes, you will be exposed to it. But if you only are exposed to like traditional companies from Estonia or Portugal or whatever, you can continue to live in that bubble where the best experience you get is not maybe too good. That's one thing. And another, like, what do you think about automation and like chatbots and all that? Because I have my own sort of guesses on where that's going.
Remember, I started picking up phone calls in the year 2000. So that back in the day, people sounded like robots. That's the truth. All right. I had scripts and I couldn't move from them. This was the reality. And this was what it was expected from a customer service rep back in the day. Nowadays, it's all about personalization, obviously. So using bots it's a requirement when you scale your company, because you cannot keep hiring all the time. It's just impossible when you have, so many customers to take care. So we definitely need to get help from automations and chatbots. And the most amazing thing is that with the use of artificial intelligence, they're already accomplishing so many good things with chatbots. We started using a chatbot, I think it was late 2019. And in the beginning, like, we were very much afraid of what it would do to our with the human touch part of the experience, right? So we were very cautious in using the chatbot, but we were honest about it. So we don't make it as the chatbot appears to be an agent. No, we're out there saying, this is our lovely chatbot. If you want to talk to a human, I will assist you. And some people hate it, obviously, because they know they're talking to a machine. Some customers we have are so lovely that they do the good CSAT score and they say, thank you, Mr. Bot. Loved talking to you. So this is what we get also from our lovely customers. But it will be a requirement if you need to scale a company and keep getting those answers out to customers, right? Because you rather wait half an hour to speak to someone or get your answer in still a very nice dedicated way, because it was a human actually preparing that chatbot. So interacts with you in the end, right?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's like the bad way of doing it is just like releasing the chatbot and then thinking like, okay, like now I don't need to answer any support cases.
Precisely. So we have, it was funny, like we when we introduced the chatbot, we named it, the team chose the name. We had someone from, it's Pipebot. The name is Pipebot. So we introduced Pipebot to the team. Someone actually glued the face into a team picture we had. And someone from the customer service improvement team that we have was made responsible for it. And it was Carolina at the time. And suddenly Carolina started to be called the mother of the bot. It's like, so your kid misbehaved here? Please check his answer. And this is how we interacted about our bot. And still, we still keep on doing it. So yeah, we kind of embedded this.
Systematically review the answers that the bot gives as well.
We have to, and we keep fine tuning the answers we already have and building more as new stuff is released. We have to keep the chatbot going. So yes, but it requires dedicated eyes and ears. So yeah.
Final question. What advice would you give to customer support teams that just want to become better when it comes to quality? And I mean quality in the broadest sense.
Mm-hmm. Like, have a seat at the table for decisions that are not just support related. If your product team and your marketing team is thinking about releasing a new campaign for customers, changing a price, repackaging your offer, product is thinking about releasing some new features or changing the way that the features are built, you have to have a seat at the table because you guys are gatekeepers for the experience, especially if it doesn't go right. So you definitely need to create involvement within the team. For a customer support team to focus on quality, obviously, do it in a structured way. Get a tool like Klaus to be sure that if you're assessing performance, you're assessing it the exact same way. You get the exact same goals, the exact same pointers that you want to measure. And regardless of who is monitoring and tracking, they are always doing it in a consistent way, right? This is what you want to guarantee. Listen to your customers, embed that in your goals for internal quality, and keep monitoring, track it. Never stop tracking your performance. When you stop tracking, that's when you start failing.
I especially like the first part because I think that's maybe the most important and also the most difficult to achieve, depending on like what your situation is. Because unfortunately, especially for more traditional organizations, support is just it's a cost, and then you get like stuff is dumped on you, and you just deal with it. So, yeah. But it's worth fighting for that seat at the table, as you said.
I can give you a very good example of why this is so important. So. I remember when I worked back in the day for a company that wasn't really putting support at the table. We knew about some campaigns through the customers. The customer would come over on the phone and said, "So I have this new option of..."
Classic.
Right? And we were, "Oh, really? Okay." And this is crappy customer service for you. And we would be rated poorly because we didn't know. And the customer expects us to know. What do you mean you don't know? Your company is selling this, right? Luckily, at Pipedrive, we don't have this issue. We do put support and other customer-facing teams at the table where decisions are made. So we always know. We don't really get surprised by customers. And because we know, we're prepared and we're very fast at giving them the solution that they're expecting to get. And that's why our CSAT scores are so high, because we are not perceived as unstructured, lost in our work.
Yeah. But I can tell you that, like, to be honest, like back in the day, like in 2014, when like it was the Wild West. It did happen. We learned about features from customers sometimes.
No.
Yeah, but like that wasn't because like somebody was like not trying to involve us. It was just like things were happening so fast. Like, it was like complete hyper growth, and then we just like fixed the airplane while flying.
Yep. Today we're still as fast. Well, I can't say we're as fast as a startup because that's the crazy Wild West for sure. But we're still pretty fast on our tracks. But because we already like oiled our machine so well, the information also flows pretty nicely, and we get the information and we get the involvement and the buy-in pretty fast also from teams. So that's how the magic works.
And I think that's also a great point to end. This has been fun. I hope some of the viewers also got something out of this, other than us getting to catch up and be nostalgic about Pipedrive.
Yeah.
So thank you, and see you in Lisbon, I hope.
Yes, I hope, or Tallinn for that matter. Yeah. I hope this pandemic goes away soon enough and we get to meet again wherever.